I was born between straw and breath and iron. My first memory is the thunder of hooves that were not hooves but boots, and the flickering warmth of heat lamps hung like second suns above a winter made of concrete. I learned the scent of my mother before I learned what the bars meant. I learned the wordless mathematics of hunger, the way bodies press to find a nipple, the way milk is clock and law. The world, at first, was red light, a square of sky the color of a coin, and the rhythm of my brothers and sisters turning sleep into growth. I am a pig, and sound is how I measure distance. The metal gate sings when dawn arrives. The feed auger chatters like a parrot. The farmer's whistle drags shadows across the pen. I know the soft vowels he uses when he is happy, and the sharp ones when rain has rotted the bales. The dogs bark in broken sentences. The roosters argue in exclamation points. The swallow that nests in the rafters writes cursive with her wings and calls it morning. My world is full of smells you would not believe. Wet straw has a green, bread-like scent, heavy and simple. Mud is the perfume of truth. It cools like a second skin and remembers every footstep. Rust smells like old arguments. Apples smell like promises. Sometimes, when the wind turns its face to us from the river, I can smell cold itself, tin and stone, and a hint of faraway snow. In summer, the air grows buttery with corn and sun-baked wood. In autumn, smoke braids with the sweetness of rotting windfall fruit, a candy that sticks to your nose. Oh wow! What cold, is this enough? My mother taught me the 4 great pig arts: root, listen, arrange, and rest. To root is to read the earth by touch, your nose a librarian of secrets. Potatoes hiding like smug little moons, worms threading paragraphs through black pages, tubers knotted into the handwriting of rain. To listen is to hear what dirt says when a tractor passes, and what silence means when the dogs stop mid-bark. To arrange is to make a bed that knows your weight and the angle of your dreams, straw layered in a spiral so it does not betray you to drafts, a stick laid like a latch across a hole so the night stays out. And to rest is not to sleep, but to fold yourself into the day until it fits you back. I grew into the shape of work, rounded like an answer, but I am faster than I look. My world has lanes you cannot see, trails stitched through thought. Past the tin trough, cut right around the stump where beetles hold parliament, slide left between the 2 stones that remember thunder, and you'll reach an orchard that belongs to crows but tolerates pigs. There, I learned the politics of fallen fruit. First come the hornets, angry bureaucrats, then the birds, who post laws on branches and break them loudly, then me, who eats around the sting and thanks the tree for gravity. Humans call our pen a pen. I call it the place between names. On one side is the yard, where tractors nap, like red rhinoceroses, and children toss their laughter at us like bread. On the other side is a field that acts as if it's forever. I have felt the field in my bones when the fence fails for an afternoon and we become explorers, noses low, tails scribbling signatures on daylight. Out there, grass is 1,000 tiny hands that try to hold you back, and the wind hands you maps you cannot fold. Oh! Once, a storm arrived like a teacher none of us had met. The air went yellow. The chickens wrote frantic letters on the dust, and the dogs became philosophers. Rain came down not as drops but as strings, threading the world together. Lightning showed us what the farm would look like if it were carved into stone. Thunder reminded us that the sky has lungs. When it ended, the mug opened its eyes, and the worms rose into the day like punctuation marks. We wrote our happiness in trails and wallows, and slept smelling like the oldest joke in the world. The farmer's daughter visits after school. She stands with her hands on the slats and tells us about fractions and friends and how a boy threw a pencil and got sent out of class. We listen, which is a kind of loving. She names us Button, Hamlet, Princess, Sir Oinks-a-Lot, names that roll off her tongue like marbles. My true name is buried in dirt and breath, but I let her place hers on top like a bow. Names are the easiest fences to cross. There are days when my world narrows to the trough, the sun stripe, and the itch I can reach only by leaning against the bristled back of the boar next door. There are days when it expands until I can hear the train that thinks it's a river, far past the fields, and smell the city the river carries on its back. I have never seen the city, but I have tasted it in the rain, iron and sugar and fear and celebration, a soup of lives cooked in steam. The farmer goes there sometimes and returns quieter, as though he left part of his voice among buildings. He brings back bags that smell of bleach and stories about prices. He says market like it's a weather. There are days when my world narrows to the trough, the sun stripe, and the itch I can reach only by leaning against the bristled back of the boar next door. There are days when it expands until I can hear the train that thinks it's a river, far past the fields, and smell the city the river carries on its back. I have never seen the city, but I have tasted it in the rain, iron and sugar and fear and celebration, a soup of lives cooked in steam. The farmer goes there sometimes and returns quieter, as though he left part of his voice among buildings. He brings back bags that smell of bleach and stories about prices. He says market like it's a weather. When piglets are born, the world repeats and changes. They arrive in slippery poems, squealing like little violins still tuning. We mudge them toward milk, and into names, and into the knowledge that straw, made right, can be a cradle and a castle. I am not a mother, but I stand guard. Pigs stand guard with a kind of stubborn stillness. We put ourselves between smallness and harm, like a wall that can grunt. I have faced down a dog once. He was a puppy with ideas too big for his teeth, and I told him softly with my shoulders that ideas have consequences. He learned, and we all kept our stories. And when you leave, take this with you. We are many, and we are simple, and we are complicated in the ways that matter. Where we root, the ground changes. Where we sleep, the night warms. Where we are chosen, the ledger is written in more than numbers. I am not a poem, not a lesson, not an indictment. I am a pig. I put my nose to the earth. It smells like the beginning of the story you thought was already over